The rest of the wide receiver group is underwhelming. Kincaid's had some moments. They need a playmaker in the worst way this offseason. I know they keep trying to get it done or pick these guys off. Maybe Keon Coleman will be that guy. Maybe Josh Palmer will be that guy. It's not working. They haven't replaced Stephon Diggs, and it shows. And I think Josh Allen could use some help. So Buffalo Bills in the offseason, free agency, NFL draft, get yourself a big playmaker.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Notre Dame playing very well, in a position to crack the top 12. Now they have to take care of business.
Here's what I want from and again, we're going to go over who we think is actually going to make the playoffs here a little bit later in the show. But understand this, Joe. I don't want any ACC in there. I don't want any Big 12 in there. Just give me the Big 10 and the SEC. And Mike, quite frankly, if you just gave me Ohio State, Indiana, and the rest of the SEC, boom, boom.
Nah.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Let me ask you this. If they brought in Belichick, you don't think that... Yeah.
Go off North Carolina,
yeah, they're playing much better now.
I wouldn't let him coach my kids. I don't even have any.
I tell you what, they would be more disciplined than what they are now.
No, they wouldn't. They'd be lifeless.
Yes, they would.
They'd be lifeless.
Yes, Brian Dable is a gutless head coach.
Bill Belichick came off a bye against
gutless
Clemson.
Head coach.
Replaced him. They gave him 150 yards.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
But here we go. This is like, Pet Sematary. You guys don't remember this movie from the 1980s. But look, goodbye Tom Brady, I guess, wants to keep the generation alive. Couldn't he just have had this dog breed and just take the puppy of some kind? I don't know. But hey, Tom Brady does different things. Maybe this is just a signal for cloning in the future for humans. I'm not really sure here.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
One step closer to the weekend, and yes, it's time to rise and grind on the SportsGrid Network. This is the early line, and each and every day, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern, it is the place to be. I'm Donnie Rightside, and he is Joe Ranieri, and tonight the NFL is back. But is it really back? Because the New York Jets are playing a Thursday night football game and getting close to 2 touchdowns. We'll preview that and much more. An exciting night in the NBA. We saw the Knicks get beat. Brunson goes down in flames. And also some public fades that absolutely cash tickets. You gotta love that. Joe, it's early. I get it. But we're always ready to give the people what they want right here on the early line.
Absolutely, Donnie. I mean, we had a little something for everybody last night, too. Tons of college hoops, full NBA card, and boy, much of the same here tonight, except for that minor league football game we're going to have to watch here on Thursday nights.
Drake May and the boys looking to extend that winning streak here against those New York Jets. The only question is how many actual yards are the Jets going to throw for? I don't know, but it's time to get caffeinated. Joe's on deck. What do we got?
Well, Donnie, just when you thought the NCAA couldn't possibly get any more ridiculous, any more out of touch, any more laughably irrelevant, they go and announce this yesterday. They just dropped the harshest, and I mean harshest and most devastating punishment in all of sports on Michigan State football. What was it? Was it a death penalty? No. Lifetime bowl ban? Nope. They vacated 14 wins. Vacated wins, Donnie, right? What does that even mean in 2025 in an era where, a 3-star right tackle is making 7 figures in NIL money? The NCAA's brilliant idea of punishment is to pretend games didn't happen. Apparently, they think this punishment will somehow get Sparty fans to forget the 2022 Quick Lane Bowl. Well, newsflash, they already have, Donnie. It is the lamest, most toothless, most performative garbage continually with the NCAA that I've ever seen. But why? What was this heinous crime that brought down the full pathetic wrath of the NCAA? Did they start a rival program stadium on fire? Is that what happened? They burn it all down? No, Donnie. They paid for plane tickets and hotels for recruits. They paid over $10,000 in impermissible benefits. 10 grand. There are offensive linemen at Texas making more than that per pancake right now. Okay? And the best part, the report says that paid for one recruit's entire family vacation just to keep him from visiting other schools. I mean, you almost have to respect the hustle here, Donnie. That's just good old-fashioned college football, isn't it, though? This is the stuff that's been happening for decades. And now, in an era where it's all legal, the NCAA wants to get on its high horse, a completely powerless organization that has lost control of NIL, lost control of the transfer portal, and their only move left is to pick on the kids who are already getting bullied at recess. And who does this really hurt? What, Mel Tucker? The guy who fumbled a $95 million bag because he couldn't control himself? No, he's gone. This hurts the new coach, Jonathan Smith, who I happen to like. And he's now got 0 Big Ten wins on his records. And he didn't do a damn thing except take over the program. They're banning a team from bowl games that they can't even qualify for. It's like giving a speeding ticket, Donnie, to a guy whose car's on cinder blocks. Think about this. Michigan State cheated. They broke the rules, and they still suck. They haven't had a winning season since 2021. They actually had to cheat just not to win games. That's almost impressive, actually. But it's madness, Donnie. It's a joke, and it's a perfect reminder that while the players and the money have moved into the 21st century, the NCAA is still stuck in 1995. What an absolute clown show, Donnie.
It always is a clown show, but also, let's talk about the clown show also that Mel Tucker was at Michigan State. I joke all the time about this. He should have given half of his paycheck of the $95 million to Kenneth Walker III. When he transferred in early 2021, he ran wild. Michigan's like, oh my God, we're going to lose Mel Tucker. Let's give him a big deal. What an atrocious coach. I had one player get him all of that money. But you're right about this. If you really wanted to sink your teeth into it, you know how you do it? Oh, Mel Tucker, you've been away for a couple years here. Yep, we're taking you to court. We want 75% of the money we paid you back because you cheated. But that's not the way it is. How many times, Joe, do I come on this network and say, just keep cheating? Because you're telling me vacating wins for back in the day actually hurts Mel Tucker and Michigan State? No, it doesn't. Look at Michigan. They're just fine. They one of the biggest cheating scandals in history, won a championship. Just keep cheating because you never, ever get caught up to. And when they do, they go, Mr. Harbaugh, 10-year show cause. He goes, dude, I'm never coming back to college anyway. Give me a 50-year show cause. Michigan, man, absolutely provided for his people there with a championship. Great caffeinated Joe today. Let's switch it over to the early lineup, which has even more caffeine. Why? Jameis Winston has been named the starting quarterback for the New York Giants against the Green Bay Packers this weekend. Are we eating L's or eating W's for this game?
Well, you got nothing to lose. I tell you that. It can only get better, Donnie, with Jameis there. And please, I mean, there's got to be a crab leg somewhere involved in this. Somewhere, somebody's got to have a mean with a crab leg with Jameis Winston. It just goes hand in hand. But I actually think he is going to be a big improvement over Russell Wilson. A lot of points, Donnie. We talked about it yesterday. Give me the over, baby. Come on, Jameis.
He's playing a really good defense this weekend with not a lot of weapons. Let's see that prime Jameis Winston absolutely step up to the bat. Marvin Harrison Jr., that would be a nice weapon to have for the Giants. Well, he's not even going to be able to play for the Cardinals. Why? He's going to be down for multiple weeks here with an appendicitis. Ouch, in the middle of the season. That's terrible for Arizona.
Didn't see that coming at all here. And just when they were, starting to get it going because they had a quarterback change that actually proved to be pretty good offensively for them, but they're going to have to do it now without their number one wide receiver. But again, really, what was the ceiling for this Arizona team anyway, Donnie?
By the way, also, this next story, look, Antonio Brown post-bail monitored with an ankle monitor. Did I see that he got posted bail for $25,000? But then, like, Damon Jones is like, hey, man, LeBron's not playing tonight. Had to put his mom's house up just for him to walk away. Some things, don't really make too much sense here. But Antonio Brown, GPS monitor. Can't go too far, kid.
Yeah, no, Donnie, as sure as I'm sitting here, we have to see if this is on Kalshi. Is there a Kalshi prop that he cuts the monitor off over the next 24 hours? It's probably going to be on his dog at some particular point, Donnie, if we know Antonio Brown.
And by the way, Tarek Skubal here wins a Cy Young Award, one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball. And there are already rumors out Detroit's like, yeah, we can't offer him an extension. It's going to cost too much. Welcome to the New York Yankees, Tarek Skubal and Paul Skeens.
Oh, you can count on it. You know they're going to try to and make the play. I mean, there's only so much the Dodgers can afford here, after all. But yes, the Yankees all over Skubal, and yes, all over Skeens, and that is what makes Major League Baseball so much fun.
You know what makes the NBA so much fun? Players who steal so much money, you can't even count it up in 10 lifetimes. Bradley Beal, hip injury, out for the year. This guy's made hundreds of millions of dollars and hasn't done a damn thing in the NBA. Parents, teach your kids to play basketball, because if you do and they're talented, they can steal, just like an absolute robber out there. And that's what you get from Bradley Beal. Oh, boy, out for the year. Come on, stop.
Bradley Beal is the Jamarcus Russell of the NFL. Like, he gets his 75 mil and then absolutely disappears. Bradley Beal was buried with the Washington Wizards. And then the minute he went to, I don't know, a halfway decent team with a couple of other guys that can play, he can't play. He's hurt all the time. It's unbelievable.
MSU on probation, as we talked about there with Caffeinated Joe. But how about this? Jake Paul going to fight Anthony Joshua. Do we finally have some boxing matches that could be intriguing here, Joe?
I don't know, but apparently the next best thing to being fired as a head college football coach, Donnie, is being a retired boxer who can't fight, and then you fight Jake Paul and get millions of dollars that way as well.
I don't know, Joe. I see that's down in South Florida there. Joe Ranieri will be ringside for the Joshua Paul fight. How about that? Coming up next, Spreadlines.
Notre Dame playing very well, in a position to crack the top 12. Now they have to take care of business.
Here's what I want from and again, we're going to go over who we think is actually going to make the playoffs here a little bit later in the show. But understand this, Joe. I don't want any ACC in there. I don't want any Big 12 in there. Just give me the Big 10 and the SEC. And Mike, quite frankly, if you just gave me Ohio State, Indiana, and the rest of the SEC, boom, boom.
Nah.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
It is a sickness in this league. They stink, and they should stink next year. That's it.
But the expectation is to be a 9-8 football team.
So let's shake it. Why is that the expectation? They're garbage. And traded away two of the few good guys they have.
But they're going to get how many draft picks in the first round? 3 next year?
2.
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Brissett has been that good. So this is a quarterback that I think is worth acquiring, but especially in Superflex leagues. If somebody's already got QBs passed by and Brissett's just collecting dust on somebody's bench, go out there, get him, because I think the next 4 weeks, some of the matchups too, he gets Jacksonville, he gets San Francisco, he gets Tampa. Those are going to be some higher scoring games potentially. Good news for fantasy managers who are trying to get Jacoby Brissett.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Today's prop was 15, right? And he's at 44. If you altered him to 20 or 25 plus, those are some big numbers. Like 15 and a half, like Jack Besh this morning was 11 and a half, and his number got bet up to 15 and a half. Tyler Lockett was 16 and a half and bet down to 15 and a half. If you just took a shot, like 15 to 25 is nothing. And next week, his number's not going to be 15.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Thursday Spreadlines right here on the early line on the SportsGrid Network. It's how we get down to business here. I'm Donnie Rightside. He is Joe Ranieri. And tonight we do have college football outside of the MAC on a Thursday night. That's Troy and Old Dominion. This game's going to take place at 7:30 p.m. Eastern tonight. Opening line below 10 points. Where does it sit game day? Over 10 points. 11.5 listed across the board. In a total, that's 52.5 points. Troy, ODU tonight. What's the spread line for you, Joe?
Well, this is interesting, Donnie, this line here, right? Opens up old ODU 10.5. We're up to 12, even 12.5 in some spots. But, Donnie, look at the records of these two teams. It's not like you've got a 7-2 team taking on a 1-8 team. No, you've got two teams that are 4-1 in the Sun Belt in conference play, 6-3 altogether on the season. So how is one team a 12.5 point favorite over the other? And the answer is the underlying metrics here. I mean, neither of these teams have played since November 1st, but ODU has clearly been the better team. The problem that they've had this year, Donnie, is they've turned the ball over 20 times. 20 times. You want to talk about incredibly bad luck, Donnie? They have lost 11 of their 18 fumbles. That's just bad luck. They have this kid, Colton Joseph, at quarterback, Donnie. I love him. He's one of the more exciting quarterbacks that you'll see in college football here today. 19 TD passes. He also has 9 interceptions here. So if you take the turnovers away, my goodness, I mean, ODU is an absolute monster here. Even despite all those turnovers, Donnie, they're still 4-1 in conference. Bottom line is there is a reason why Troy is a 12-point underdog in this one. ODU, for me, as long as they don't turn the ball over.
Let's get to one on the SEC, Joe. Saturday, a noon kickoff here. South Carolina travels down to Kyle Field to take on Texas A&M. This line opened up around 16.5, Joe. No more. 18.5s and 19.5s now in most of the marketplaces here. A total of 47.5. A&M looks to hold on to that number 3 spot. A perfect 9-0. The spread line for South Carolina, Texas A&M for you, Joe, is what?
How did we go from 16.5 and an open all the way up to 19.5 here? And it looks to be a little bit of buyback, especially given the fact that South Carolina here, they fired Mike Shula, the offensive coordinator. Finally, this is the guy that many people credit with ruining Lenora Sellers' final year of college football. But they also fired the offensive line coach, the wide receiver coach. They have basically gone through the entire offensive staff here. So it does look like Shane Beamer and company, Beamer rather, will go ahead and get a new play caller, new everything here. And this number is so ridiculous, Donnie, because South Carolina on the road has never lost by this many points. I say what you want about them. They've been extremely competitive here. And I get it. A&M has been impressive, Donnie. But to win by 3 touchdowns, I'm not seeing it here, Donnie. The only time South Carolina's lost by this many points, it's because Lenora Sellers got hurt in the first quarter and didn't play the rest of the game.
Let's get to a game tonight where I don't know if it matters if anybody's hurt for the Jets. They can't do anything at this point right now. They, talking about the Jets, are 12.5 to 13-point underdogs, depending on where you're shopping at tonight. A total, listed at 43.5. Those hapless Jets go on the road to Foxborough to take on the New England Patriots, Joe. Fields versus Drake May. What's your spread line here?
Donnie, I'm telling you, this is trap spot. Be very, very careful. Dude, this is where the NBA gets the betting, the NFL rather, kind of bites back at the betting public here, because there is an awful lot of people looking at this game going, it's a lock, Donnie. It's the dreaded lock game of the... There are no locks in anything in life. Well, a couple of things, but there are absolutely no locks in the NFL, and what you're seeing might not be what you get. So I would be very careful here tonight, especially given the fact that the Jets are 5-3 against the number as an underdog, and they're 2-1 against the number as a road underdog. Don't be shocked on a short week if the Jets keep this thing within the number, Donnie.
I am so interested to see that Jets offense tonight with some of the low numbers that they have posted. Understanding this, the Jets aren't going to change their stripes. It's like, okay, tonight, Justin Fields throws 35 times. Like, no, he's probably going to throw less than 20 times, slow that football game down and muck it up. And maybe if you can get some defensive plays and or special teams plays to keep that close. And also, we're not asking the Jets to win. You just got to stay within 2 touchdowns if you want them to cover. Let's get to a game on Sunday afternoon, which will be much better on the eyes, or will it be? Kansas City taking on Denver. Denver's the home team. Kansas City off a bye with Andy Reid. Damn near unbeatable. And how about this? The 5-4 Chiefs are favored on the road against the leaders in the clubhouse right now, the Denver Broncos, in that division of 3.5 to 4 points, depending on where you're shopping, and a total of 44.5. KC, Denver. What's your spread line here, Joe?
Well, it's interesting, Di. I mean, everything you need to know is in this line, right? Because the hook is still very much available, Donnie, and you got to ask yourself, why is that? Now, they have been getting bet all week long here, the Kansas City Chiefs, on the road against Denver. Now, Denver's been very good at home, but everybody who seems to be betting Kansas City all has the same reason why. They can't trust Bo Nix. It's a quarterback-driven league, the NFL, and Kansas City has a clear advantage here with Patrick Mahomes, and that Chiefs offense has looked a lot better now that they have their full complements of Rice and Worthy and everybody else here. I think this line is going to continue to go. I don't expect buyback, Donnie, on the Broncos at all. I think this might continue to grow before kick.
Toronto Raptors and the Cleveland Cavaliers tonight in the association. 7 o'clock tip time here. Opened up around 7.5 and 7s. We're still sitting at those same price points here in the marketplace, and a total of 240.5. Raps and the Cavs tonight, Joe. What are we looking at from a spread line perspective?
Donnie, and actually yesterday before the Miami-Cleveland game, this is obviously the second of a back-to-back, it was 5.5 for Cleveland. It is now, last night, as they were beating Miami, we saw this line jump up to 7.5, and the total was 235.5. Why? Everybody sat for Cleveland yesterday, and now they'll all be playing here tonight. So might be a little bit of an overreaction.
From Spreadlines to NFL news and notes. Come on back with us on the early line right here on the Sports Grid Network.
Notre Dame playing very well, in a position to crack the top 12. Now they have to take care of business.
Here's what I want from and again, we're going to go over who we think is actually going to make the playoffs here a little bit later in the show. But understand this, Joe. I don't want any ACC in there. I don't want any Big 12 in there. Just give me the Big 10 and the SEC. And Mike, quite frankly, if you just gave me Ohio State, Indiana, and the rest of the SEC, boom, boom.
Nah.
Sports Grid's College Football Today.
It is a sickness in this league. They stink, and they should stink next year. That's it.
But the expectation is to be a 9-8 football team.
So let's shake it. Why is that the expectation? They're garbage. And traded away 2 of the few good guys they have.
But they're going to get how many draft picks in the first round? 3 next year?
2.
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Brissett has been that good. So this is a quarterback that I think is worth acquiring, but especially in Superflex leagues. If somebody's already got QBs passed to buy and Brissett's just collecting dust on somebody's bench, go out there, get him, because I think the next 4 weeks, some of the matchups too, he gets Jacksonville, he gets San Francisco, he gets Tampa. Those are going to be some higher scoring games potentially. Good news for fantasy managers who are trying to get Jacoby Brissett.
Fantasy Sports Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Today's prop was 15, right? And he's at 44. If you altered him to 20 or 25 plus, those are some big numbers. Like 15.5, like Jack Besh this morning was 11.5, and his number got bet up to 15.5. Tyler Lockett was 16.5 and bet down to 15.5. If you just took a shot, like 15 to 25 is nothing. And next week, his number's not going to be 15.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Giants fans unite. Oh, you might have a little bit of fun to watch. No, we don't have our guy Jackson Dart at quarterback. Well, you might still get an entertainment special this week as the Green Bay Packers come to town with one of the best pass rushes and best secondaries in football. How do you counter that? You start Jameis Winston at quarterback instead of Russell Wilson. He's back in the spotlight. He's loving the spotlight. And take a look at yesterday, some words from Jameis.
I want fans to know that I'm going to do my best. You know, obviously I'm going to have fun, but I'm going to execute, have a surgical execution, and just play ball, man. Like, this is something I've been doing since I've been 4 years old. Now I just get to do it in the greatest city in the world. I'm going to be saying it with my son. It's the greatest city in the world. Yeah, that's a Hamilton reference if y'all don't know. Yeah, 10-year reunion.
See that? He's ready now. Are you going to be getting some fun times, or are they down 21 points early and Jameis like, this isn't the greatest city in the world?
Oh, no, he will still be like that whether they lose by 100, Donnie, or by a touchdown. Won't make a difference, and which is what makes it. He is the perfect guy for this absolute dumpster fire of an organization right now and team, the New York Giants. He is great. He will have a good time. The media will love him. The locker room likes him. He's the perfect remedy for total dysfunction right now with the New York Giants.
Yeah, you know what I'm trying to find, because FanDuel doesn't have odds up here for any of the props for the wide receivers. So I'm just going to go around right here quickly to Bet365. Let me see receiving props. All right, good. So we have some of these up. Let me ask you a question, because when you have Jackson Dart, young kid, maybe doesn't stay with his reads. But the one thing we know about Jameis, he's going to throw touchdown passes. He's going to throw interceptions. He's going to give his guys opportunities to make one-on-one plays. Who are we bouncing back? Like, I know Slayton struggling a little bit with the hamstring injuries. Is this the day that Wandell actually shows up and catches more than 3.5 yards per pass attempt catches for him? Like, who steps up for the Giants and helps Jameis this weekend?
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think they're going to have to. Some guys, it's going to be next man up. I mean, don't forget, Donnie. I mean, they fired Dable now. Looking around the locker room here, they know changes are coming. Guys are going to be fighting for contracts and jobs here. So what they have on film here is going to matter. So listen, if I'm a wide receiver or any offensive pass catcher, you've got a guy that's going to be throwing you the ball. Now go out and make some plays. I think the tight ends are worth a look here. I think there's opportunities up and down the board here. I don't know that they're going to score a ton of points, but I bet you they can rack up a ton of yards here.
Yeah, give or take 228.5 here is the passing yard number for Jameis Winston. We'll see if he goes over or under. Well, that game will take place, Joe, 1 p.m. on Sunday in the Meadowlands as the Packers come to town. Losers of 2 games in a row looking to rebound, and we'll see if they can do that. But the biggest game maybe on the docket Sunday. It's not even an afternoon game. It's a Sunday night game in the city of brotherly love. That's the Detroit Lions taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. And here's Dan Campbell talking about that tush push.
Any problems with it this year? Has that caused you anything?
I mean, I don't know. Well, here's why. I'm a purist, man. You take something else out of the game, then we're taking the next thing out of the game. Then you're taking another thing out of the game. Then pretty soon we don't have pads anymore. And then pretty soon you're only playing 30 minutes. And then pretty soon it's, so that's why I don't want to take it out of the game. It's something, a team's got a niche. They found something. They're good at it. And it's for everybody else to stop. And it's unique, and it's physical, and more than anything, I just don't want to take anything else out of the game. I just want to leave the game alone. That's me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Have you thought about?
I like where he's coming from here, Joe, and the reason I do is he would love to have a quarterback like Jalen Hurts, because I think if the tush push obviously stays in business and he had a quarterback to do it, I think Detroit would use it more than any other team in the NFL just to show how tough they are at any given moment. But I do understand, like me being a Philadelphia Eagles fan, people want the tush push out, and you can't legislate it. But sometimes I like the old school technique, because he goes, okay, if we take this out, what happens next year when Patrick Mahomes has a great season? We go, well, you can't, you're not allowed to blitz anymore, or Patrick Mahomes isn't allowed to scramble out of the pocket and make a crazy throw because my quarterback can't do it. So I understand the approach he's coming from, and it does make sense.
It does. It absolutely does. I think this is going to be an absolute battle too. By the way, I love his salty shirt there. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Dan Campbell. But yeah, I mean, my question though with this game, Donnie, is Dan Campbell still calling plays? And by the way, you better figure out who's calling plays in Philadelphia, because that current OC, Donnie, Ain't cutting it, my friend. Ain't cutting it.
We talk Kalshi a lot, Joe, in this show, and some interesting markets. And the reason I bring that up is buying high or buying low on a certain player. I'm going to tease this because coming back after the break, should you buy back on a certain real upset wide receiver in Philadelphia? The show, Ranieri and Donnie right side. We'll be back after this short break.
The rest of the wide receiver group is underwhelming. Kincaid's had some moments. They need a playmaker in the worst way this offseason. I know they keep trying to get it done or pick these guys off. Maybe Keon Coleman will be that guy. Maybe Josh Palmer will be that guy. It's not working. They haven't replaced Stephon Diggs, and it shows. And I think Josh Allen could use some help. So Buffalo Bills in the offseason, free agency, NFL draft, get yourself a big playmaker.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Notre Dame playing very well, in a position to crack the top 12. Now they have to take care of business.
Here's what I want from and again, we're going to go over who we think is actually going to make the playoffs here a little bit later in the show. But understand this, Joe. I don't want any ACC in there. I don't want any Big 12 in there. Just give me the Big 10 and the SEC. And Mike, quite frankly, if you just gave me Ohio State, Indiana, and the rest of the SEC, boom, boom.
Nah.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Let me ask you this. If they brought in Belichick, you don't think that... Yeah.
Oh, of North Carolina?
Yeah, they're playing much better now.
I wouldn't let him coach my kids. I don't even have any.
I tell you what, they would be more disciplined than what they are now.
No, they wouldn't. They'd be lifeless.
Yes, they would.
They'd be lifeless.
Yes, Brian Dable is a gutless head coach.
Bill Belichick came off a bye against
gutless
Clemson.
head coach.
3 plays in, they gave him 150 yards.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
But here we go. This is like, Pet Cemetery. You guys don't remember this movie from the 1980s. But look, goodbye Tom Brady, I guess, wants to keep the generation alive. Couldn't he just have had this dog breed and just take the puppy of some kind? I don't know. But hey, Tom Brady does different things. Maybe this is just a signal for cloning in the future for humans. I'm not really sure here.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Oh, wide receivers being unhappy, not getting the football. It's a tale as old as time. Your boy DRS was a wide receiver, and when I didn't get the football, I was unhappy about it. But the good part about that, Joe, is I played on a college football team that was really bad, so we were throwing the entire second half. Even though we would get beat routinely week to week to week, didn't matter. I was seeing a lot of action. That kept me happy. But in the NFL, sometimes you have to balance those optics here. The Philadelphia Eagles are very good. Number 1 seed right now in the NFC, sitting at 7-2. But one of those superstar wide receivers isn't getting the football, even though the Eagles are winning, and he is not happy about it. Who's that wide receiver? It's A.J. Brown, people. And he gave out some fantasy advice yesterday or the day before, a late-night gaming scenario that goes, hey, man, you got me on your fantasy team. Might as well drop me, Joe.
Johnny, I would not do that, though. I would not, because you and I both know that at any particular moment, when the louder he gets, and we've seen this how many times, right? The louder and the more absurd he gets, the better chance of him getting, and Jalen Hurts giving him, 10, 11 catches in a game. So I think this is going to be interesting. Don't forget, you get a pretty banged up secondary still in Detroit there. So this is the kind of game, would not shock me that he absolutely goes off. The biggest moments, biggest stage, I would not remove him from your fantasy league.
Again, that's why we bring up like those Kalshi markets of like buying low and selling high at this point. A.J. Brown listed around 60 yards here. He's angry. And also, this is not going to be the same type of game script that you're going to see against Green Bay, where it was apparent right away It was cold weather. The defenses were on it. Who's going to make the first mistake? That's going to lose. You don't play that way against Detroit going, hey, I think we can stop their offense all game long and keep this one close. You got to be aggressive and you got to score. I think it's the perfect bounce back scenario for A.J. Brown and the Eagles offense. Not saying they win the football game, but at least more competent on offense because it's night and day between that Detroit defense and that Packers defense, and you're at home on Sunday Night Football as opposed to being on Lambeau after a bye week. Should get a good football game on Sunday night, but maybe a buy low opportunity there for A.J. Brown. How about a buy low opportunity for your New York Jets, Joe Ranieri? Buying low, meaning catching close to 13 points at some outlets here in their game tonight, taking on the New England Patriots. Justin Fields, I was looking around yesterday and even sent a tweet out on X. 135.5 is Justin Fields' passing prop tonight. That's an NFL quarterback, guys. Not an NFL quarterback that's running the wishbone offense. This is an NFL offense with a 135.5. Trust me, Joe, if we had statisticians, I don't think there's ever been a number lower, barring we're going to have a blizzard or we're playing in a hurricane, which we're not tonight.
Yeah, no, we are absolutely not. I mean, but this is a very tricky spot on a short week in a division rivalry game with one team who's got nothing to lose and another team, Donnie, that's kind of in uncharted territory. I mean, this isn't Brady and the usual Patriots. This is a very young team, new head coach. This team couldn't get out of its own way a year ago, you remember. So now all of a sudden being tested and having to win by 2 touchdowns. This is a very tricky spot. This to me, and we've seen Thursday Night Football dogs, right? We've seen this short week in this spot, maybe a little bit of a look ahead for New England. Listen, if you like the Jets, there's no reason to bet them now because likely, Donnie, I think this gets to 2 touchdowns before it's all said and done.
Yeah, and we look at the game itself, too, like the game script. Because if you are the New England Patriots, Joe, and again, we just talked about the Philadelphia Eagles and Detroit. The Eagles can't be like, hey, ground attack, slow the game down because Detroit won't score. You know Detroit's scoring. They score against everybody. Just a matter of how much you can score to sort of counterbalance that. But the New England Patriots are not coming into this game, Joe, saying, hey, guys, we got to go 5 wide. We got to throw it around. We got to match the Jets toe for toe. That's not the game plan for the Jets either. Hey, let's change the script here and do some things. Like, no, they're going to keep the football on the ground. They're going to play slow tempo here. And New England's going to go, well, if we don't make mistakes and we just execute, we'll win this game. It doesn't have to be pretty. That's what you have to gauge because that 43.5 listed as a total, you know the Jets are going to have to score. But for me, it doesn't seem like a lot of big plays from either offense in this game. Keep it on the ground. Keep it simple. The Patriots win. The only question is, can they win this game by double digits to cover that point spread?
Yeah, and don't forget, Donnie, I mean, short weeks do not – most people think, oh, it's a short week. It favors the better team. No, it levels the playing field is what it does. So you're talking about a New England Patriots team that has not been a 2-touchdown favorite, and I can't remember how long here, Donnie, especially with a young QB, a lot of young pieces on that team. And you saw last week from the Jets, you know, now that you got rid of the superstars there, right? The guys with you got a lot of guys playing for contracts and playing for jobs there. And boy, are they have an opportunity. And now it's a primetime standalone game. I would expect a big effort from the Jets. I don't think they're going to win, but staying within 2 touchdowns, very feasible in this spot.
If just correlating, like, isn't it just all Breece Hall props in this game, to be honest? Like touchdown props, yardage props, receiving props, because I don't see where their offense comes from outside of him. And if you saw the game last week, which was crazy because, again, you lost a couple possessions because special teams, touchdowns happen for the Jets, and that does happen at times. But outside of Breece Hall, like 4 yards, I believe, was the leading wide receiver / tight end, which is incredible when you think about it. I think Breece Hall only had 1 catch, which was the 40-yard catch. Incredible stuff. Let's see if they can keep it close. But I'm passionate about one thing, Joe. Look good, play good. The New England Patriots tonight. And here's how I gauge a lot of things and say, I don't understand how things work. Sometimes I'll turn on an NBA game on my TV, Joe, and it takes me a few seconds to realize who's playing on the screen because they're wearing the stupidest color patterns you can ever think that have nothing associated with the city they're playing for. So now we find out New England. Here is their rivalry jersey. So if you just narrowed it down, you see the 5 players up there. One of those is Drake May in the middle. If you just isolated Drake May and I go, who is this quarterback or who is this player and what team does he play for? You'd have no idea. The Patriots have one of the most iconic throwback uniforms in the history of professional sports, and it's unbelievably beautiful. With the Patriot player on the helmet hiking the football in the red colors, it's astoundingly gorgeous. And yet we come away with this. Maybe it's just I'm old now, Joe. You have iconic uniforms. Use them. Because why, Joe? The iconic uniform isn't your everyday uniform. Use the throwbacks that everybody loves, not this stupid icy white and this uniform looks great. This is terrible. A bastardization of the sport, Joe.
Is it me, Donnie? Or if you put that picture back up there, if I'm just looking quickly, is that the Colts? Are the Colts playing tonight?
That's a good point.
Am I right? Like, I can't tell. Like, it looks like, oh, look at the Colts. The Colts have a home game. No, it's not the Colts. What do you mean it's the Patriots? How is that even... How does that resemble a rivalry in any way, shape? You just labeled the jersey a rivalry jersey, and it has absolutely no bearing on anything that the Patriots have worn in the history of the organization. I don't get it, Donnie. It's just a money grab as far as I'm concerned.
Like, I go back to my Philadelphia Eagles fandom, and the Kelly green has always been the Philadelphia Eagles colors. When they wear them, it's absolutely glorious. And I remember going to a game, this is probably 15 years ago now, where I showed up and the Eagles were dressed as the Los Angeles Lakers for a game, and I don't think a single person ever bought that stupid throwback jersey that has no association with the Philadelphia Eagles whatsoever. So when I look and say, I have perfect uniforms for you to wear, it's the same conversation we have repeatedly, Joe, when we talk about the Chargers. They wear a pea soup green uniform. Like, what are we doing? You have the powder blues, one of those iconic uniforms in sports. Wear them as much as you possibly can. It will be like the Lakers, Joe, wearing green every single chance they got. It's like, no, the yellow is iconic. The purple is iconic. Please wear that. That is our uniform. Oh, man.
Yep. Donnie, I mean, if it ain't broke, why are we fixing it? The NFL is great at this, trying to figure out new ways. And how many jerseys is a guy really going to own, Donnie? Like, how many, I mean, what am I really going to go, I got to get this rivalry? Why? Like, there's absolutely nothing redeeming or classic about it. I don't get it. Strictly a money grab as far as I can see.
Exactly. Strictly a money grab tonight if you're betting the New England Patriots, as you hope, but also the touchdown market. It shouldn't be like who's going to score for the Jets. It should be, is there actually be a touchdown scored by the Jets as a team? That should be plus 115. Get the entire team scoring anytime touchdown. We go more NFL news and notes with big games coming up this weekend next, right here on the Early Line.
The rest of the wide receiver group is underwhelming. Kincaid's had some moments. They need a playmaker in the worst way this offseason. I know they keep trying to get it done or pick these guys off. Maybe Keon Coleman will be that guy. Maybe Josh Palmer will be that guy. It's not working. They haven't replaced Stephon Diggs, and it shows. And I think Josh Allen could use some help. So Buffalo Bills in the offseason, free agency, NFL draft, get yourself a big playmaker.
Fantasy Sports Today, only on SportsGrid.
Notre Dame playing very well, in a position to crack the top 12. Now they have to take care of business.
Here's what I want from and again, we're going to go over who we think is actually going to make the playoffs here a little bit later in the show. But understand this, Joe. I don't want any ACC in there. I don't want any Big 12 in there. Just give me the Big 10 and the SEC. And Mike, quite frankly, if you just gave me Ohio State, Indiana, and the rest of the SEC, boom, boom.
Nah.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Let me ask you this. If they brought in Belichick, you don't think that... Yeah.
Go off North Carolina,
yeah, they're playing much better now.
I wouldn't let him coach my kids. I don't even have any.
I tell you what, they would be more disciplined than what they are now offensively.
They'd be
lifeless.
Yes, they would. They'd be lifeless.
Yes, Brian Dable is a gutless head coach.
Bill Belichick came off a bye against
gutless
Clemson.
Head coach.
Replaced him. They gave him 150 yards.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
But here we go. This is like, Pet Sematary. You guys don't remember this movie from the 1980s. But look, goodbye Tom Brady, I guess, wants to keep the generation alive. Couldn't he just have had this dog breed and just take the puppy of some kind? I don't know. But hey, Tom Brady does different things. Maybe this is just a signal for cloning in the future for humans. I'm not really sure here.
Newswire. only on SportsGrid.
Oh, we got some good football to talk about this weekend, Joe, and a lot of games. 13, count them, on Sunday afternoon between Sunday morning and Sunday night. Absolutely love to see that with some really big games here. But also, sometimes we like to take a look at some gamesmanship here between two elite quarterbacks, Pro Bowl quarterbacks, and quarterbacks that are hoping to find pay dirt, meaning they want to win a Super Bowl this year. Baker Mayfield and Josh Allen. Here's Baker Mayfield talking about Joshy's hands right here.
I have to walkie-talkie to him because he's so damn tall, so I can't really have a face-to-face conversation with him. But, in Buffalo, it's cold, it's rainy. Even though he's 6'10", his hands are small, so he better wear his gloves.
Baker Mayfield was asked about it. He said,
oh, no.
He needs a walkie-talkie to talk to you because you're 6'10". Yeah, you said you have small hands, so you need gloves still in this one.
That's crazy.
What's the relationship like with Baker?
Baker wears 2 gloves golfing, so he's that type of guy. I love the guy. He's awesome.
Two quarterbacks that will give you everything they have on a football field. Usually good things happen when these two guys are going to meet up, and they will on Sunday, Joe. The favorite for the Buffalo Bills at 5.5 and a total of 47.5, but two quarterbacks are going to lay it all on the line. I look at this game, too, and I see the opening number because doesn't it draw you in the public? Say, oh, my God, you got to take Tampa Bay. 6 points in that range. They're going to keep it close. But we know better than that. You're not as bad as the last game you played. You're certainly not as good as the last game you played. And both of these teams were underwhelming in their last performances, particularly the Bills. So when you see that amount of points to Tampa Bay, Joe, I don't fault the public for saying, I got to take the points. But sometimes we know better than that.
Yes, we do. And again, being in Buffalo certainly helps here. I think it's going to be a whole lot of fun to watch it go down. Now, listen, Todd Bowles has been pretty good when his defense gives up a bunch of points. The next week, he's done a pretty good job as a head coach, both at Tampa, even with the Jets when he was there, where that defense bounces back. But this is a different test altogether here. I think it's going to tell us a lot about both these teams and whether or not, Donnie, honestly, we should consider them serious contenders in the AFC and NFC. And depending on how this game goes, there might be a lot of people looking to fade one or maybe even both of these teams when it's all said and done.
By the way, you take a look at Buffalo, and again, no stranger to this type of year. We're going to be in the high 30s at kickoff, Joe. Some precipitation is in the forecast early, but winds sustained at 15 miles an hour plus, which is going to be breezing up into the 20s. That wind chill is going to be a factor. Why do we talk about that? Tampa Bay, warm weather team going up there to take on Buffalo. That's going to change some things. But also, Baker's got a strong arm. So does Josh Allen. They should be able to cut the wind. But also, Joe, that total 49.5 down to 47.5 at some places, but still at 48.5. As I look at that right now, I think the offenses can get going. But also, Buffalo doesn't have a quick strike offense. They would like to hand off to Cook here. Baker Mayfield might be a little bit more of a running game here. How do you feel about the total in that game?
Yeah, well, to me, it all depends on what that weather is going to be in Orchard Park on that day there. But you're right. Buffalo is not going to have any intention. And I didn't understand why they were doing it in Miami, if we're being honest. It felt like right from the get-go, like the idea was what? You were going to throw on this Dolphin. You're going to just drop Josh Allen back. It looks like they went away from the running game. I think at home in those conditions, just get back to who you are, make it about the trenches, and see if that offensive line of yours can really, put that defensive front into a bind and run the football. I don't know what they were doing with Miami, but hopefully they learned their lesson here.
Chicago and Minnesota. J.J. McCarthy is going to get the start, but a little bit banged up on his throwing hand here, bruised a bit. Williams coming to town. Caleb Williams we're talking about for the Chicago Bears. Good comeback performance last week against the New York Giants in that victory. Total sitting between 47.5 and 48.5 this week. And Minnesota is a 3-point favorite at home. Any issues here? Maybe banged up a bit for J.J. McCarthy. Can they win this game? Or you take the underdog here with the Chicago Bears on the road?
I don't like the Bears. Most people don't like the Bears in this spot here. In fact, Caleb Williams, I believe now 1-7 versus the NFC North. I believe that was it. I think the only win he had was he beat the Packers in Lambeau at the end of last year, at the end of the season. So I don't know. I'm not. I think this defense of Minnesota is going to have a field day with Caleb Williams, who tends to hold on to the ball a little too long, Donnie, and that could spell absolute disaster in this game for Chicago.
Oh, Brian Flores is going to be teeing up those blitzes here, but no surprise. Like you're talking about, Ben Johnson understands what Brian Flores' defense is about. Should be a fun game to watch overall. In the Dome, no worries there if we're going to have cold weather conditions outdoors because we got a pretty clean slate there. Let's get to another game with a clean slate. That's Arizona, also a Dome, going to take on the San Francisco 49ers. It looks like Brock Purdy is going to come back off of the injury list and play in this game. Did get an aggressive, limited practice in yesterday. We'll find out more details today with the practice reports. But San Francisco opened up as around a 1.5-point favorite. They're now threes at a lot of outlets across the board in a total of 48.5. We started this show off by talking about Harrison Jr. down with appendicitis. Not many weapons left, and Arizona got blasted last week. Let's see what happens this week, Joe. What are you thinking, Arizona and San Francisco?
Well, I think we're getting points, Donnie, and probably a lot of them here. I mean, listen, everybody is scoring on this 49ers defense, and it's no wonder. I mean, it's duct tape and Elmer's glue for that defense there. Yeah. But interestingly enough, Shanahan, as well as Arizona, these are two of the most up-tempo teams offensively that we've seen. Shanahan has been, pedal to the metal here, and they are just getting up there, and so is Arizona, which means more possessions, more opportunities to take some shots down the field. And, I think points. I think the total is the best look in this game between these two teams.
Yeah, defense is certainly lacking here, and we'll see if Brock Purdy comes back. Can he hit and stride? Ricky Pearsall also back to practice, can help out that wide receiving core for the San Francisco 49ers. We'll find out where that goes. Let's head quickly here, Joe. Seattle and Los Angeles, Darnold and Stafford, a 3-point favorite for the Rams. Supremacy in the NFC West on the line here.
Both teams 7-2, right? Straight up and against the number here. Two best teams. Not only in the West, but maybe the NFC people are saying this is going to be an absolute war. But I know who the better quarterback is, Donnie, and that's where I would lean.
Let's head over to the hardwood there, the NBA, for some news and notes next, right here on a Thursday morning edition of The Early Line. We'll be right back.
We now have to figure out if they will be in the playoffs. They're the Super Bowl favorite and have shorter odds to miss the postseason as you and I sit here right now.
Right, but let me ask you this. Do you feel after this 5-4 record, 9 weeks, 10 weeks of the regular season, that their defense is as dominant as it was last year?
But the offense is better.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Fly Pelican, more like grounded Pelican. The Pelicans are 0-6 to start the season. Their main guys aren't their main guys. And it comes to a point where, what do you do if you are Joe Dumars and the leadership of New Orleans?
Pro Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
You want to throw $12, $13 million at Kiffin? That's always a possibility. Summerall, they lost the other night to, in that matchup to UTSA. Or do you go back to potentially the mad scientist and Nick Saban, give him, complete control of the athletic department and see if he can turn it around? We'll see. But whatever they go, they're going to need a coach to hit the ground running.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
His daughter, she's on the OF. Okay.
She's on the OF now.
Is that right?
Yeah, she's on the OF now.
So he's got an OnlyFans daughter and a little son
who says he can beat Curry and LeBron.
And he's coaching a team that was down 72 to
Keep
nothing.
that dude away from polite society.
Okay, by the way, I'm with you. I didn't know any of that is.
Numa's pops gotta go.
The Craig Carton Show. Only on SportsGrid.
NBA news and notes. Yeah, we're talking about the NBA before Christmas. How about it? But you know when some of these topics pop up, which I get a good laugh at? I saw a statistic yesterday, like Bradley Beal is one of the worst players when he's playing due to like defensive inefficiencies here. And like 15 minutes later came out that, oh yeah, by the way, Bradley Beal just got hip surgery. He's going to be down for the entire season. That just feels like, hey, you know what? You're still going to get your check. If we put you on IR, we can get another player here. Everybody wins at this point. But Bradley Beal fractured hip will undergo season-ending surgery here. And this guy has stolen so much money in his NBA career. And understand this, maybe he was the smart guy, Joe. Like, he was in Washington. Washington is never going to win anything, but he liked it. I'll get my 25, 30 points a night. The fans can't get mad at me. And I'll still put on that face like, I don't want to go anywhere. I want to stay in Washington. So whatever Washington Wizards fan base, which again, I've never met a Washington Wizards fan in my life. I don't think they exist here. But then he finds like, you know what? They're forcing me out of here. Let me go to a winner. And it's clear he's not a winning basketball player at all. Hundreds of millions of dollars in contract money for Bradley Beal and nothing to show for it, Joe.
It's kind of hard. I mean, 32 years old. He's played in 6 total games this season for the Clippers, right? They signed him over the summer to go along with the other, 30-something guys, one of them being Kawhi Leonard, who, by the way, ankle injury. It feels like he hasn't played in a hot minute, nor will he at any point. And I think there's a reason why this team only has 3 wins on the season. But what, a 2-year contract is what he signed. He has a player option for 2026. I'm still trying to figure out. They say it happened Saturday night in the game against the Phoenix Suns, but then he came back into the game, Donnie, after he fell. So I'm not sure when you figured out he broke his hip, because it would seem to me like maybe, I don't know, how did he get back into the game if he's got a fractured hip? I don't get it, but it's par for the course with the Clippers and Bradley Beal at this point.
Yeah, and I like this story even more. Like, this is the NBA, when it's played at the highest level, is so much fun to watch, which is the playoffs. Outside of the league stinks out loud. The Mavericks will work with Anthony Davis's camp over the next 2.5 months to, as they decide whether to pursue an in-season trade. So is he going to play over the next 2 months? Is he, like, what injury does he have now? And how can the NBA even allow this at this point? What is going on in Dallas?
Oh, no, it's complete fire sale here. They're going to get, and there's no reason to keep Anthony Davis at this point. I mean, you have to build around Cooper Flag. Anthony Davis is not in the future conversation of the Dallas Mavericks, but he still has some value now, Donnie. So that's, why risk getting him injured by putting him on the court? If you're Dallas, I would make sure he's 100% and then find somebody that can use him for the postseason there. I mean, he still brings a lot to the table, but just not for Dallas. Dallas has to build around Cooper Flag. Nobody else. That's the only thing that matters moving forward.
But if reading that correctly, he's not going to play for the next 2 months, or is he playing? Like, what are they doing with him? Is he just sidelined until they can work something out? Is that what I'm reading?
Well, to me, it's about his health, as always is with him. Now, a lot of people thought he was going to be available for that Phoenix game last night, but he was a late scratch there. So it wouldn't shock me if it's already going on behind the scenes. But again, you can't trade him if he's not healthy. So I would not expect a whole lot of Anthony Davis sightings over the next month or so.
Yeah, probably go back to the Lakers for like Dalton Connect straight up, and everybody's going to get upset, but the Lakers need another superstar and yada, yada, yada at that point here. How about the Denver Nuggets? They got their superstar. How about 55 points last night by Nikola Jokic on a road victory by double digits over the Clippers? The Nuggets improved to 9-2 on the season, and Jokic continues to absolutely dominate, even though he doesn't like basketball.
No, he doesn't like basketball, but he should because he's an absolute triple-double machine. And now he's dropping 50 points. And they have not been good on the road this year either, Donnie. So we already saw Aaron Gordon drop, I think, a 50-burger a couple of weeks ago here in the season. Now Jokic has got 50. Denver's got more depth now than they've had over the last couple of seasons. And you're going to start seeing the Joker on the road having more nights like this because he doesn't have to play 35, 40 minutes a game and doesn't have to come in the fourth quarter in a blowout because they don't have anybody else.
New York Knicks, Joe, they got 7 wins on the season. They came in last night 7-0 in the Garden. They're now 7-1 at the Garden because they lost by double digits to the Orlando Magic, 124-107, but also leaving in crutches, exiting Madison Square Garden. That was Jalen Brunson. Uh-oh, Knicks.
Yeah, not good. Not good at all. And they weren't even in that game.
I'll tell you what's good, though, Joe. Hour number 2 is coming up. You got us for another hour, people. 2 back in. We'll be back real quick.